Primordia is one of the most interesting titles in the Wadjet lineup to me, but mainly because how it relates to a later game with a different team with a very similar scenario. As Gemini Rue is to Techno Babylon and are difficult not to compare, the same is true for Primordia and 2016 Shardlight, both post-apocalypse games about finding hope in seamlessly hopeless situations. However, they have different thematic aims, and they share one massive difference in terms of cast. Shardlight is a human and emotionally charged tale about revolution and trying to survive in the middle of massive national incidents crushing down on any common human decency. Primordia, on the other hand, is a world where humanity is extinct, and the creations now roam the land and rule the world. Both play with ideas of revolution and fascism, but where Shardlight is interested in ethically doing the greater good, Primordia is more interested in personal fulfillment and personal identity. The game comes mainly from Wormwood Studios, the concept and art handled by one Victor Fugue, and the story and design handled by Mark Ullman, with Wadjet acting as publisher and head of the dub department. It follows a robot named Horatio Nullbuilt, whose everyday life in a crashed airship is interrupted by a giant robot blasting into his home, stealing his power core, and shooting him down with a laser. He survives, but him and his flying robot helper Crispin now find themselves without power. So they decide to go on a quest through the Dead Dunes and eventually the city in Glass and Light called Metropole to find a solution and possibly find the robot responsible. Needless to say, things get very complicated very quickly, and one of the major complications of all this deals with Horatio's actual identity. The first thing that stands out about the game is the incredible art style. Fluke's cutscene illustrations are incredibly detailed and intricate, somehow mixing together a sense of life and an almost terrific darkness. It reminds me of the art style of Zdzislaw Bekinski, whose art also inspired another point-and-click from recent years worth checking out titled Tormentium Dark Sorrow. That same art style transitions pretty well into sprite-based adventure game graphics, taking a lot of cues from Wadjet's environmental design style and mixing together with strange architecture, sometimes with robots themselves as background pieces. It gives the game a unique identity among the rest of the Wadjet library, and it fits especially well with the core themes of play. Primordia plays with the old idea of artificial intelligence evolving to the point of being on the same level as humanity, but it has happened well after humanity's extinction. It's clear from the start humans have appeared to wipe themselves out, and robots are making the best of a bad situation and inheriting the planet. However, it's been so long that robots have an entire religion devoted to worshipping quote-unquote man as some sort of perfect machine. And when Horatio comes across a human skeleton in the desert, he mistakes it for a long-destroyed robot instead of a human. Only a few man-built machines remember humanity, and few of them have particularly high opinions of them, trying to correct their mistakes and some repeating them in the process. Metromind, an AI originally built to run trains, acts as the dictator of Metropole and tries to provide energy for the people of the city, while doing so through some very questionable means that end up harming a lot of citizens. The entire joke on her character is based on the old saying that at least Mussolini got the trains to run on time, which isn't really true, giving us an AI built for just that and now failing at it at this point as her reach spreads too far and she realizes how limited her abilities really are. The interesting thing is that Horatio and Metromind don't necessarily have conflicting ethical desires as the end goal, but what they're willing to do is very different. The game doesn't make a hard political stance as much as it argues for an ethical stance that doesn't value control or ubermenches, instead looking at one's personal ethical values and viewpoints, meeting one on those terms and coming together as people, basically valuing individual identity to build a community of equals. Identity and names play huge roles throughout the game as well. Two arguing well-off robots should meet at the courthouse or trying to decide who gets their name as part of the last name of the robot they built together. Horatio has forgotten who built him and has become a lost closed-off hermit due to a lack of sense of self. Metromind's grab for power is foreshadowed in a sense by her name actually being shared with the city. Clarity and Charity both take opposite views of the law, the first taking law as something that must always be followed, and the other questioning when the law has flaws for the greater good. I could go on, but Robot Society takes names very seriously and they use it as shorthand for identity, most notably when one of the more artistic and eccentric war drones renaming himself Primer. Machines are built with a function in mind and follow it, and the intelligence of these machines has grown so much that they have created society and culture around this. Metromind becomes a villain because she encroaches on this to increase her processing power and ability, feeding off other robots and turning them into nothing more than zombies searching for parts and memory. The game's best ending occurs when you help everyone be their best selves and follow their namesakes, choosing personal identity over a mushy unity that Metromind desires. Of course, getting that ending is a bit of a challenge. You can basically get the golden ending by just helping every robot you come across until the final confrontation, assuming you can pass some logic quizzes or save before you take said quizzes and repeat them as necessary, but Primer proves to be a huge stickler in this department. You actually get locked out of the best ending because he has a hidden requirement that you cannot cheat on a bridge code puzzle with an item you can only get by going on that path in the first place. The game doesn't really make it clear if what you did was wrong either, which is fairly annoying. Other than that, the path of the story feels very much in your control. Every ending has some sort of bleak outline to it, but the best one, as Horatio basically proves Metromind wrong through his own example. It's well-written stuff all around, and very thought-provoking, myself discovering new layers on replay. The score and sound design was handled by Nathaniel Chambers, who will be seen again in Starlight, amusingly. He has a very fitting sound for the game, capturing the feel of 80s synth and techno scores with a more downbeat feel to it. It doesn't stand out a great deal, but it complements every screen perfectly. The voice cast is also fantastic across the board, with one unexpected name in the lead. Horatio is played by Logan Cunningham of Transistor and Bastion fame, and he's fantastic here. He really captures the hidden rage underneath Horatio's reserved speech, giving a feeling of someone who's seen hard times and only grows more frustrated by them than numb. Abe Goldfarb steals scenes as Crispin, making great use of his snarkier talents, and Noni Cragg handles her first and seemingly only major Wadjet role perfectly as Metromind. She gives the character some complexity, selling her two-faced nature but genuine desires and fear. Everyone else brings their A-game, creating a game with near-perfect atmosphere and a great balance of drama and comedy. I also have to give props to the cool voice alteration effect they used to make everyone sound more robotic. I don't want to say that Primordia is one of my favorites, though I do feel comfortable in saying it's one of the best games in the Wadjet line, and definitely one of the most rewarding to revisit. It will be interesting to get back to Shardlight later, where Wadjet steers his ship entirely once more, and compare the two, but I think both stand apart with their own styles and ideas. Both are definitely worth your time, but I'm currently edging more towards Primordia right now, though we'll see if that changes down the line.
It doesn't matter if you don't know the way.